Hello there, and welcome back to yet another Heart Scales video. I say yet another like this isn't only our second video ever. This is Pan. He is a ghost sun-kissed corn snake, and he is about to eat the heck out of this mouse. Yeah, look at him go. He's a very good eater. I thought he'd be a great snake to start out with for our videos. I will note that we trimmed a lot of these videos. There's a couple of them that I'm going to go ahead and speed through the eating process because it can take a snake quite a few minutes to go through and eat a mouse. All of our snakes are on mice because all of our snakes are pretty small. Generally, you want to feed a mouse or a rat or whatever it is that your snake is currently eating based on their size, age, and species. Prey that is roughly about as big as the thickest part of their bodies. And Pan does very well on these. I believe it's a small hopper or a large pinky mouse right now that he's eating. He is currently our largest snake at 55 grams, and he will probably always be our largest snake. Corn snakes get to be about 5 to 6 feet, depending, whereas all of our hog noses will get to be about 3.5 feet at max, and that's with the females. The boys stay smaller. Something kind of cool to note for anybody who's interested is that, contrary to popular belief, snakes do not unhinge their jaws in order to eat their prey whole. I'll use the description provided by JSTOR. Basically, the lower bones of the jaw, or mandibles, are not connected like they are in mammals. At the front, each mandible is attached by what is essentially a stretchy ligament. So the mandibles can therefore spread apart laterally or horizontally, increasing the width of the mouth. And that's why they're able to swallow things like this mouse without actually having to chew it mechanically or take off bits of it. The bottom of their jaw spreads apart horizontally, which I think is very interesting. And as I said, it can take them quite a while, especially if they have a little bit larger prey. So let's let him finish that up. Next, we have Chroma, our albino superconda. And you can see here, when we first start to try and feed her in this video, she gets a little defensive. She hisses, she bluff strikes, and you want to try and avoid this when you're feeding your snakes. So what I found tends to work really well is when they're starting to feel a little bit defensive, instead of going towards them with the mouse, start to pull the mouse away a little bit and try and wiggle it. It especially works if you can go behind something, like go behind a leaf or a little bit behind a flower or whatever you have in the tank, and then they feel like they are chasing the prey as opposed to the prey coming right at their face, which is a little less natural for them. And that seems to work really well. We also ensure that all of our mice are at about somewhere between 88 to 90 degrees. And the warmth of the mouse probably helps with the smell. Makes them a lot more appetizing and easier to digest. So having a mouse that is freshly warmed up. We also don't soak them directly in water. We put them into Ziploc bags so they aren't basically losing a bunch of their scent while being soaked in the water. And we haven't really had any problems with feeding, even though baby hognose in particular are notorious for being picky eaters. Chroma does a really good job. She's a very happy, healthy snake. And the next set of mice that we get are going to be larger. We realized after ordering these guys that they're just a little bit too small for our snakes, so we'll be having slightly larger mice for our hog noses in the next feedings. Good girl, Chroma. She ate that fast. Let's go on to the next snake, shall we? And here we have Akima, who is probably our most nervous of all the snakes, but she's still a pretty good eater. As you can see, she took the mouse sideways, and this seems to be a common theme with all of our hognose. Now, I did speed this up so that you don't have to sit there and wait through the entirety of her trying to write it, but they are actually pretty good about writing it. She did take it butt first, which is not ideal, but she manages to get it all down. And usually you don't have to worry about writing the mouse. They'll often do it themselves, but do keep an eye just to be on the safe side. But she did a good job. Good girl, Akima. Next we have Aladdin. He's my caramel boy, and he's going to take a little moment to pop out from underneath these paper towels here. I'd like to point out, this seems like a good part to say that we've actually moved all but 2 at this point into larger tubs with aspen as a substrate, and we do have several reasons for why we chose aspen. Not everybody likes aspen, and I say use what feels right to you after doing your research. Aspen for the species seems to make the most sense. It's dry, it keeps the humidity down, they can burrow in it, which they really love to do, and it maintains its shape. It's also safe to digest in small quantities, which they tend to be quite messy eaters, I've learned, so it works really well for this particular species of snake and for what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, he ate pretty quick. Pan, on the other hand, he's a good boy. Now we have Artemis. You'll notice that I actually sped up this video because it took her so long to even take the mouse initially. It was actually 1.5 minutes before she decided to take the mouse, so patience is sometimes key here. And with the case of Pixel, we've actually had to drop feed him a couple of times because he was so nervous, but now he's taking reliably off the tongs. Once she actually takes the mouse, she takes about another 2 minutes to actually eat the mouse, and she does a pretty good job of getting it down pretty quickly. But the whole time, poor Kale is watching and waiting for his mouse. So here we have Kale, and I'm so sorry for the way that the video is recorded. And he's going to peek out a couple times from this paper towel, if I remember correctly. He was quite funny about the mouse. And where it was he wanted to take the mouse and eat it. You can see again, he grabbed it from the side. So even though we're offering it to them head first, they're not always going to take it head first. And it maybe this just is how they tend to do their hunting. They're ambush predators, is my understanding, so they probably just grab something on its way by. So, like I said, they're pretty good about correcting where the prey actually is. And sometimes they will take it butt first, which is not ideal. You want to try and get them to take it head first. But even when they've taken it from the side like this, they've been able to eventually get it long ways one way or the other and ingest it. And he's being a shy eater, so he's slowly but surely disappearing back underneath his paper towel. And that's another thing you might come across with some snakes, is they actually prefer to eat without anybody watching them. I get that. I don't like to have people watch me eat either. So he's gonna eat in private now. So here we have my very first hognose snake, Truffle. I believe this is either her second or third ever feeding from me. So when she hisses and backs away, it startles me because I'm not used to it yet. I'm doing much better with not, startling and then flinching away with the tongs in the house when they do that. Also trying to get better about not getting them defensive in the first place. Truffle has been a really good eater from day one. She's generally pretty good about taking from the head, although I have had a couple hilarious mishaps. If I have any of them recorded, I will share them at a later date. But like some of the other hognoses you've seen, she will occasionally take them from the side, and then occasionally drag it through aspen. So, all sorts of different interesting fun things happen when you're feeding snakes. And that's my Truffle girl. Next we have Parzival. This is actually one of my favorite feeding videos, and hopefully you'll be able to see why. Actually I had to brighten this video up because it was kind of hard to see. He's so dark, and the clouds had come over just when we went to go feed him. But yeah, that was a pretty great feeding response. He kind of looks at it for a minute, opens his mouth wide and lunges, and it was really cute. So he's also a really great feeder, and thankfully he did take this one head first, which is what we prefer. And he actually eats his pretty quickly. And like I said before, we're going to get all of these guys onto a bigger size of mouse within the next couple feedings, because we realize that they can definitely go a little bigger. And we're also trying to get, we'll try to get more photos of them with better lighting. We're working on it. We have some really great photos of Kale. Trying to get some really nice photos of Chroma because she's so bright. And we'll do another video where we give you some updates, some health issues that one of our snakes is currently having. 2 of them have had some perfect sheds. We'll let you see kind of where they are now and how they're doing, and get you little videos of all of them being their quirky little selves. I didn't even have to speed this video up because he ate so quickly. Good job, Parzival. Pretty stable boy. And here you finally get to see Pan finishing up his mouse. Now, I realize that I've made kind of a running gag throughout this video of how long it took him to eat this mouse. It was roughly about 7 minutes. So it's not a really long time, but if you're just standing there trying to hold a camera as as non-shaky as you possibly can for that period of time, like your hands start to cramp, and it feels like a really, really long time. But the next snake, and the last snake for this video that I'm going to show you, eating his food, actually took the longest. And that one I'm going to speed up quite a bit, but know that it took him 13 minutes to eat his mouse because he took it sideways. And here you get some little jaw readjustments from Pan. It's very cute. It looks like he's smiling really goofily. Good job, Pan. It certainly makes for some fun pictures. He's all done. You got to see him finish. Now let's see a snake who took far longer to finish his mouse. And that wraps up our second ever video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate the really nice comments and tips that we got from a few of the viewers as well. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to let us know your thoughts. And we'll continue to make new content, letting you know what we learn and what we experience as we go along our merry way becoming snake breeders. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.